Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mr. Chairman,
In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate.
Excellency Antonio Guterres, UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Excellency Syed Hussain Alemi Balkhi, the Minister of Refugees and Repatriation of Afghanistan, Excellency Abdul Hamani Fazli, the Minister of Interior of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening. Before I start off my speech, I would like to make a mention of the scenario in which my country at the moment is. I have 3 million plus Afghan refugees who are living in my country for the last 3.5 decades. This point was, of course, talked about. Out of them, 1.6 billion are on the records of UNHCR, and a similar number is there living in my country who are undocumented and unregistered, and we are soon launching ourselves in their documentation. These refugees have been living there, I said, for the number of years that I talked about, but their initial number was plus 5 million. And about 3 million have already gone back. And with addition in the population, growth rate taken into account, today we have that number that I talk about. There is a very popular demand which has been going on in our political circles with any political party trying to contest the election in my country. It's a democratic country. One of the demands, one of the points in their programs have been the repatriation of the Afghan refugees as soon as possible. So when my party's government came into being in 2013, before that, we had also made a commitment to the public that keeping in view our commitments that we had made with the international community, that the refugees will be repatriated voluntarily with dignity and honor. But of course, we said that we will do that during our government's period. And prior to that, there was a commitment from the previous government that they had committed that they will send every one of them back by the end of year 2013. And of course, when we took over the power in my country, the number was again, the same number was there. Hardly anybody had been able to go back during the period of the previous government. So they were there, and with a lot of difficulties, I got an extension from my cabinet for their stay in my country till the end of year 2015. Well, we are in 2015. The month is October, and the commitment that we had given to our public and to the cabinet was that they would have gone back by the end, by 31st of, to be specific, December 2015. 31st December 2015 is approaching, and the problem is still there. During the last 2 years, that is 14 and 13, hardly about 30,000 people went back. And so there I am in front of you, ladies and gentlemen. Once I'll be talking to you from the text that I prepared for my speech is basically to emphasize and lay stress on the point that there is a need for these brothers and sisters who have been living for the longest period of time. They need to be repatriated. We are committed to their voluntary repatriation. We are committed to their repatriation in dignity and honor. But today I'll be talking about a program which could help us in implementing this commitment of ours of their return in dignity and honor, and that too voluntarily through a special initiative, which I am going to be talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, my gratitudes to Excellency Antonio Guterres, UN High Commissioner for Refugees, and his team for holding this extremely important and long-awaited high-level segment on Afghan refugees, which is now the most protracted refugee situation in the world. Mr. Chairman, the current scenario amidst the displacement of population from Middle East and Africa and movements towards Europe, the Afghan refugee situation seems to have been put on the back burner with lesser priority by the international community. May I remind this August Forum that the issue of the Afghan refugees is now over 35 years, as I talked earlier, old. Since its inception in 1979, Afghanistan and the region had faced difficult socio-political, economic, and security challenges. As I speak, approximately 2.5 million registered and an equal number of unregistered, undocumented Afghan refugees in Pakistan and Iran and rest of the world still remain displaced from the comfort of their homes. The high-level segment being held today has substantial importance. This would not only highlight the forgotten Afghan refugee situation, but shall also yield political and financial support from the international community towards this cause. We must, as a team, put our efforts together to muster maximum support. Mr. Chairman, Pakistan believes that a peaceful, stable, prosperous, and friendly Afghanistan is not only in its own interest, but also conducive to peace and stability of the region as a whole, for which it is our collective responsibility to help and support Afghanistan in combating the challenges that it's facing. The world appreciates that Afghanistan is emerging as a stable democracy, is developing a resilient society, and is visualizing a reformative economic agenda. May I take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to congratulate the National Unity Government of Afghanistan under the able leadership of President Ashraf Ghani for its successful completion of 1 year in governance, and appreciate its constructive approach towards voluntary repatriation of refugees and their sustainable reintegration. The ownership exhibited by the Afghan leadership towards their own displaced population and the steps being taken by the Afghan government towards substantive endeavors for rehabilitation and reintegration of returnees is acknowledged by all. It has in fact encouraged us and made us believe that now is the opportunity to resolve not only the issue of displacement, but also to build a political, economic, and socio-cultural stable Afghanistan that in turn would result in regional peace, prosperity, and stability. Peace and stability in Afghanistan has become an imperative for the worldwide peace and security. The voluntary return of the Afghan refugees has attained major importance for bringing peace in Afghanistan, where the elements like Al-Qaeda and Daesh are trying to infiltrate. Mr. Chairman, let me assure that the support of Pakistan would always be there for the government and people of Afghanistan in achieving the desired goals. However, the international community and the United Nations must not shy away from their responsibilities and must come forth to contribute generously. Allow me to emphasize the fact that unemployed Afghan youth are today leaving their country to join the Middle Eastern migrants, entering Europe for jobs and more security. I am told that they constitute 70 to 20% of this current refugee migrant movement to Europe. This fact further testifies that the international community has failed to provide ample attention and commit financial assistance for their sustainable integration in their own country, that's Afghanistan. There is a need to do more. I said to do more in Afghanistan by the developed states in order to stem this rising trend which is now knocking at their doorsteps. Mr. Chairman, I strongly urge the International Committee to stand by its commitment made during the London conference of continued financial support of Afghan government through 2017 for the implementation of the reform program aimed at self-reliance, the strengthening of their economy, governance, and the rule of law. This, in turn, will help in creating the necessary conducive environment and pull factor for the Afghan displaced population. Ladies and gentlemen, it is imperative that regional economic connectivity, initiative, employment generation, ease of access to basic amenities and equality of opportunities would help in capacity building, empowerment, and participation of the people who would become a part of the development process. In this respect, the returning Afghan refugees are expected to play a pivotal role. Mr. Chairman, Pakistan is amongst the largest donors. Today, if we quantify the wheat and other subsidies, as well as free education and health facilities at government-run schools and hospitals, and the collateral trouble that we have been taking, or burden that we have been bearing. However, the protracted refugee situation has induced refugee fatigue. I will repeat it. However, the protracted refugee situation has induced refugee fatigue in the host communities in Pakistan. Their tolerance level has come almost to the limits. It is becoming extremely difficult for me, actually, to keep the Pakistani people as hospitable as they had been over the decades for further period of time, keeping in view the developments which are taking place in the neighbors. This has reduced our tolerance threshold. The government of Pakistan's draft Afghan refugee management and repatriation plan has been devised. The same has been shared with the government of Afghanistan, UNHCR, relevant ministries of Pakistan, and the Pakistani provincial governments. Subsequently, the Pakistan cabinet will consider the plan's approval. The policy envisages voluntary return in dignity and with honor. It spells out recommendations of temporary stay arrangements for registered Afghan nationals in Pakistan, solution strategy for Afghan refugees, and joint resource mobilization are key elements in this plan. For implementation of the draft policy, the plan also envisages recommendations for the validity of the proof of registration cards and tripartite agreement. Mr. Chairman, the government of Afghanistan and Pakistan and UNHCR have jointly devised an innovative approach which we have named as Enhanced Voluntary Return and Reintegration Package. This we abbreviate as EVRP, and subsequently I'll be using this abbreviation. This is intended to promote voluntary repatriation on a sustainable basis. EVRP would complement the returned cash grant of US $200 per individual currently being provided to Afghan refugees under the auspices of UNHCR voluntary repatriation program, with the inclusion of an additional multi-purpose long-term reintegration component. However, EVRP can only help stimulate voluntary return and support its recipients to anchor during the initial stages of the return and reintegration process. The package is only complementary to comprehensive efforts aimed at creating long-term incentives for durable return and conditions conducive for sustainable reintegration, underpinned by robust developmental initiatives within the overall objective of bolstering the absorption capacity of Afghanistan. We estimate that 1.4 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan, after the pilot project is complete, the pilot project is meant for about 100,000 of them. For an average family of 6, the 235,000 returnee refugee families would require additional assistance of US $700 million for their sustainable reintegration. This amount for use by Afghanistan, for this amount we are not asking for ourselves. This amount basically would be available with the UNHCR, and it would be used by Afghanistan once these refugees, they return, for anchoring them and providing them that facility that I talked about. I urge the donor community to give a serious consideration to making this amount available, to provide incentive and a realistic chance of sustainable reintegration in Afghanistan. This amount that I talked about comes to something like 5,000 US dollars. This will help the Afghan refugees once they are in Afghanistan for building a small shelter for themselves and maybe start a small little business so as to be able to have a respectable living there. The Afghan government has been very kind. They have got their very elaborate plans, and we have been informed that they will take care of their health needs, education needs, provision of lands, and many things that they have got on the cards to do. And I'm sure with this contribution of yours, the things will get going the way I've promised, and I will not fall short of the commitment of my country that we will make the reintegration possible through voluntary efforts. Pakistan is committed to participate in proactive joint fundraising within the framework of the joint resource mobilization strategy led by the government of Afghanistan, supported by government of Pakistan and facilitated by UNHCR to ensure the mobilization of resources needed for the implementation of EVRP. The joint delegation has already traveled to Abu Dhabi, and we are scheduled to visit Saudi Arabia next week for seeking assistance for the EVRP. May I categorically state that EVRP is Pakistan's top priority. I seek generous contributions by all present here. We believe that generous considerations and contribution would help the government of Afghanistan to rehabilitate and reintegrate these returnees. Mr. Chairman, in the conclusion, allow me to state that Raha initiative remains an integral component of SSAR. The inclusion of assistance to host communities is essential, since it ensures decent protection space for refugees and at the same time contributes to the social and economic stabilization of host communities. The program has started producing good results, as it's based on a bottom-up approach, wherein the needs of the community forms the basis for planning and development. Sectors like health, education, water and sanitation, infrastructure development, and livelihood opportunities have been prioritized under this initiative. Concrete projects with justification and complete in every detail are being presented to potential donors for their funding. Mr. Chairman, to conclude, may I again express my gratitude to Excellency Antonio Guterres and UNHCR's ExCom organization for holding off this high-level segment, and to all participants present here for their kind presence and consideration. I am very encouraged and I am very hopeful. I thank you all, ladies and gentlemen.